Okay, y'all, I'm back. Okay, so where I left off is basically when you leave a narcissist, what they'll do. I think the last part I left off was, that when you first leave, you feel confused because you've been lied to, manipulated, used, ganged up on in many different ways that you probably wouldn't even be able to fathom in the beginning. That's just your body cleansing you of the toxins that you've gotten used to. So it's if you've lived in a toxic environment for all your life, and then you find yourself in a point where you can't help it, then it's gonna feel foreign to you. Anything's gonna feel foreign that you're not used to. Whether you've lived a healthy life all your life and then it went toxic, or it's just a big change that happened in your life, it's going to feel foreign to you because you're not used to it. So the confusion is probably going to be the first thing that you'll experience. Confusion. The next thing is probably either hurt or anger. And I know people say anger is an extension of hurt, but I think anger is something totally different in my opinion. But I think after the confusion, you'll probably either experience anger next or hurt. But I think those two would be like the second or third thing that you'll experience. So for some people, it was hurt first, then anger, and then some people it was anger and then hurt. For me, I was hurt first, and then I was angry, because I didn't fully understand what had happened to me. I just knew that I was hurting, and then once I fully understood what happened to me, I was angry at first. I was angry after I was hurt. I was angry because I knew that I had been done dirty and I didn't deserve it, and I was set up and wronged in many different ways that I should not have been, and I knew it was wrong and it was messed up, and it was like almost as if I was watching it happen to someone else, but it was happening to me in a passive aggressive way. But basically it's like, how you feel when you have somebody close to you that's like your friend, or your brother or sister, or your significant other, or even a mother or father, and you see somebody that bad mouths them. You're gonna want to stand up for them. It's gonna make you angry. And if you can't stand up for them, or if you can't do anything about it, it's gonna make you angry. So that's what you're gonna feel. It's gonna almost feel the same way as if you witness somebody that you care about being mistreated. It's gonna feel the same. It's gonna feel the same way. You're gonna feel angry that you were ripped off. Because you were ripped off for however long in your life that you spent with that narcissist. However much they took from you, that's how much they ripped you off for. So if they went into your bank accounts and stole your money, they ripped you off financially. They took your youth away from you. They robbed you of your youth and your time. They robbed you maybe even your good looks. I know some people, before they enter narcissistic abuse, they look the best they've ever looked. Then when they end up with a narcissist, they end up the opposite. Like I was saying before in another video. Some people end up losing their hair. Some people have bad teeth. Some people end up putting on weight. Some people end up losing a whole lot of weight. Some people end up losing life and limb. Narcissists, there's no telling what a narcissist will take from you. They will rip you off as far as you will let them. If you let them rip you off, they will rip you off in every which way. And like I said before, if they're willing to kill you, for leaving, they're willing to do anything. So, and I know the K word is a strong word. I'm serious. I wouldn't be saying it if it wasn't true. I said I've seen it happen to other people, and I don't want it to see. I don't want to see it happen to you or anyone else. So that's why I'm putting up these videos. You'll feel confusion, most likely hurt because you may not know what's going on, or you may feel anger right after the confusion because some people realize immediately what happened to them when they gained that clarity. So they were angry, and then they experienced the hurt phase after that, once they got past the anger. And then after that, you'll experience clarity. Things will become more clear as to who did what, how far, what lengths they went to, things that they, when most narcissists, when they throw in those word salads, everything's gonna start to unravel. Everything is going to start to unravel. When narcissists start talking about word salad, first you're like, what the heck are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? They'll throw something random, like say y'all having a conversation about eating healthy, and they say, if there are people out there that are willing to poison someone's food, then why are they even cook? It's like, what? What does that have to do with talk? Like what are you talking about? What does that have to do with what we were just talking? We were just talking about healthy diets and what foods to suggest to eat. What is that? What are you talking about? But trust me, they, you know what I'm saying? Those word salads. You know what I mean? Those word salads, confessions almost. But at first you're thinking, what the heck does that have to do with what we're talking? Like, what are you talking? You're crazy. Like, what are you talking about? What does that have to do with what we were talking about? Or, let me use a better example. You guys could be talking about different cars to buy. You guys could be talking about different cars that you're gonna buy. That it's wrong to cheat on someone. It's like, what? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? That has nothing to do with what we're talking about. It's a confession. I honestly, I really truly don't understand that part. Honestly, like the word salad, like why narcissists do that, why they tell themselves like that. I really honestly don't understand. Because if it had not been in some cases for their word salad, or
you're the best. I said you're the best.
And for their word salads, or their like projections, I think maybe in some cases they wouldn't get caught like the way they do. But they I feel like in some cases they snitch on themselves. Like I really truly don't know. Maybe that's their guilty conscience. I wish I knew. I'm gonna have to look more into that word salad part. But some people say word salads mean nothing. That's what I thought at first too. I thought that they were just crazy. Yes, they are crazy, but the word salads actually are riddles. To me, I think they're riddles. Narcissists talking riddles. Now poets do too, but narcissists specifically talking riddles where it's not normal. Like I said, that word salad, that's that riddle. Like, solve the riddle. It's like, if two can keep a secret and one of them is dead. Like, that's the type of riddles that narcissists talk. Like, they talk in code, they're talking riddles, they do double speak. You have to figure out what they're talking about, to figure out what that has to do with what we're talking about. It's a riddle. It is a riddle. They double speak. They can't just flat out say, I committed this crime, I did this. They speak in third person when they do word salad sometimes, and I'm like, what are you even talking about? Like, you know what I'm saying? What does that have to do with what we were even talking about? But I think that's that core shame that builds up, and they tell on themselves. It's like a confession. Like, how Catholics, they go to the Pope or the priest, and they confess. It's almost what that word salad is. I don't understand why they do it, because it's like it could be used against them later, but I don't know, maybe it's that shame. Maybe it's that core shame. You can only manipulate and abuse someone.
I got you, right?
There's only so many times that you can manipulate somebody and use them somebody to where I think the abuser is affected by it too in a negative way. It's just they won't tell you. But yeah, they'll throw in the word salad. And most of the time they'll do that right when you're about to leave, or when they sense that you're about to figure them out. Even when you're still asleep and you're like, you're not really fully aware of what they're capable of. that guilty conscience comes into play when you start asking them. Like most of the time, they start throwing in word salads when you start asking them questions because things don't add up. You know, that's when they'll start throwing in word salad. But most of the time, it's when you haven't quite figured them out yet, and you're confused as to why they're even mentioning what they're mentioning. Like, what does that have to do with what we're talking about? It's a confession. It took me some time to realize that, but it's a confession. These are my confessions. But yeah, they will start confessing. A lot of narcissists will start confessing to you and telling you their tactics. I don't even know why. I really don't. Maybe it's that last attempt to try to jade you, or to make you think that they are normal. Maybe they tell you, because sometimes when they speak in the form of word salads, they don't just confess and say, I did this or I'm doing this to you. They'll speak in third person a lot of times. So they'll say something like, it's wrong to exploit people, or, you know, people who cheat have commitment issues, or, you know, if they word salad like that a lot of times they'll speak in third person. And, you know, I think it's for when you've left them completely and you reflect on those moments where they had word salad and they seemingly had a moment of, I guess, a desire for justice. It's a flat out lie. It's word salad. It's them confessing to the crimes that they've committed. And you think it's like I said, you think they're saying it because, you know, that's that craze for justice. No. They're telling you what they're... So if they say, oh, it's wrong for pedophiles to get away with what they do to children. Well, if they're mentioning it and the topic that you are talking about has nothing to do with justice or pedophilia, and they just randomly mention it, like, it's just casual, like, they're basically confessing to you that they're a pedophile. I hate to break it to you, you know, but the people that we thought they were, that's not who they are. It's heartbreaking to come to this realization that this person is a Satanist. And I'm not a Christian, so I don't just be willy-nilly pointing the finger calling somebody a witch or a Satanist or whatever. I don't just willy-nilly do that to people. Like, that's not funny to me. I don't just be like, oh, you're the Antichrist. Like, no, I don't do that. You know, it's like, I'll call a spade a spade. If somebody walk like a duck, talk like a duck, act like a duck, then they are a duck. So, yeah, the person that you loved, you thought you loved, because 9 times out of 10 you really didn't love this person, I can guarantee. If somebody asks you, were you really in love with this person? Think about your answer before you answer. I bet you there'll be some hesitation there. I bet there'll be some doubt and uncertainty. Because it was for me. When somebody asked me, was I in love with the ex-narcissist that I was with? Honestly, no, I wasn't. I thought I was. I think there was a part of me internally that knew I could never love that person, but I suppressed it because I thought maybe I was the narcissist. Maybe I could never be satisfied. Maybe I was the problem. So I can't think these things about someone that loves me, cares about me, and wants to be with me, and is my soulmate. No, lies. You know, I doubted whether or not I loved this person. I doubted whether or not I liked this person. I doubted whether or not I even wanted to be around this person. But because I, had that guilty conscience ever since childhood, I was afraid to leave the person because I didn't want to hurt them. All while they were, intentionally hurting me and getting off on it. So I was like, no, if you have the mindset of, I don't want to hurt this person, like I'm scared to leave this person because I don't want to hurt them, and this person is intentionally hurting you, you're not the problem. I can tell you that much. You're not the problem. And you are not the narcissist. If you are considering this person's feelings for a second, but you take a look back at the relationship, whether it's a mother-daughter, boyfriend-girlfriend, teacher-student, whatever type of relationship you have with this person, and you always felt like you were the person that cared about them and they never cared about you, chances are you're not the narcissist, it was them. And they know it. 9 times out of 10, they know who they are before they meet you. It's just you don't know who they are. You think that they're normal. You think they're a good person because you're a good person. They know you're a good person, and they know that they are not a good person. That's why it seems like unfair in the beginning, because they know what they're doing, and they know that you're going to leave. Yes, they do. They do know that you're going to leave. That's why they word salad. The confessions that you think that's an attempt to reach humanity. No, it's a confession to the crimes that they've committed. It's a half-ass confession, honestly. Not even half-ass. Because half-ass is, I believe, is somebody that's scared, that's not telling the full truth, but is willing to make that step. Narcissists never will make a half step. Never. They can't do it. You know, toddlers, babies, they can't walk. So narcissists are not going to make that step. They can't even walk. Spiritually, and I'm talking about the analogy, like spiritual analogy, they're toddlers, they can't even walk. They can barely even move, they can barely even crawl correctly. So what makes you think they're gonna half step or even make an attempt to try to meet you halfway? Never. So the word salad is a manipulation, the confessions, the fake attempts, the faux attempts to try to connect with your humanity and empathy are fake. So when you leave and you think about all of those times that they said, they threw that word salad in there, just know that it was all a part of the manipulation. They've been through this with someone else, and all those times that they threw in that word salad, like I said, that was their attempt to reach your humanity, your empathy. To try to make it seem like they've seen or experienced people who do these type of things and then turn around and do it when ain't nobody looking. Like murder, rape, pedophilia, manipulation, abuse, physical abuse, any type of, anything that you can think of that causes harm to someone else, they have done or will do in the future. And so when they throw in those random word salads, that's basically them confessing to what they've either done to someone else, are doing to you or someone else, or are going to continue to do in the future to you or someone else. So, that's why you have to leave. And when you leave, like I said, that's when you're at your most vulnerable, because you can either go back, you can either turn into them, or you can go to someone that's worse than them. That's why you're so vulnerable when you leave. And that's why it is very, very imperative that you leave. Because if you stay with them, it's going to get worse, and they're going to get more dangerous, and you're going to be in a more dangerous position. Because like I said, you can either lose your cool and hurt them, because trust me, it's no limit to what they'll do, and sometimes they'll even get themselves killed just to take you down, because they're that miserable. These people are miserable, so of course they're going to put their life on hold. They don't have a life. Like, think about it. If you are happy and you have everything you need and your life is going good, you're not going to want to compromise that. You're not going to allow anyone to compromise that, right? Am I right? If you're happy and you have everything going good for you, you're not going to put yourself in compromising positions, and you're not going to let anyone compromise that. No matter how much that person claims they love you and care about you, if they're sabotaging, that happy space that you're in, and you have healthy boundaries, you're not going to let them do it. So even if that means they have to leave, you're going to let them leave, or you're going to leave them, because like I said, you're happy. So you got the perfect job, you got the perfect relationship, you got supportive and healthy friends. Like, you're not going to want to ruin that for someone that has no life. You feel me? If people weren't born into dysfunctional and abusive families, they would be able to see that more clearly. But they have to learn that. It's nothing that you can really do to speed up the process for them. And when I say them, I say me too. But for us, those who were born into toxic families have to learn that the hard way, unfortunately. But people who are fortunate enough to be born into healthy families learn that intuitively and instinctively, that why would I sabotage everything I have going for me for someone that doesn't have a life, doesn't care about anyone, doesn't value human life, doesn't even have compassion for animals, You know, they're willing to hurt little children and animals. So why would I, you know what I'm saying? Why would I throw everything on the line for this loser? Like, because they're losers. I'm sorry. I know I sound like a jerk, but it is what it is. If I sound or look like a jerk, it is what it is. But you know, exposure needs to be made. It needs to be done. So that's why it's important to leave a narcissist, because if you don't, they'll ruin you, they'll ruin everybody around you, and they'll ruin everything around them. It's like they're basically saying, I'm no good, I'm evil, please someone put me out of my misery. I'm sorry, but that's what, I'm not sorry, but what I'm saying is, yeah, like somebody that's that toxic, they're basically saying, I'm evil, I ain't shit, please put me out of my misery, please help me, please call the cops, please call a therapist and give me some help. That's what they're saying. And they're, like I said, they only get worse. So that's why the good people out there, we gotta fight. We gotta fight for justice, and we gotta crack down on these narcs, because they're not gonna stop. And honestly, they ain't nobody worth being scared of. Because most people, the reason why they allow the abuse to continue is because they're scared. And I understand why, because narcs talk a big game, and a lot of them, they flex their muscle, like they're gonna do something. And some of them will do something, but these people are not anyone to be feared. They're not worthy of fear. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you see how much these people are losers, you'll understand, like, these people are more afraid of you than you are of them. Like, have you ever heard somebody say a snake is more afraid of you than you are of them? I've heard that many times as a kid. People saying that most animals, especially predatory ones, are more afraid of you than you are of them. A lot of times they only get bold is when they get desperate. So, no, I'm good. I'm good. Leave me alone. Yeah, but so basically, yeah. So most of them are more afraid of you than you are them. So that's why a lot of them, they will smear campaign you, and they'll gang up on you too. Like, I feel like if somebody's not scared of you, they're gonna say whatever they gotta say to you to your face, even if they're toxic. Like, if they're not afraid of you, they just gonna say what they gotta say. But somebody that's scared of you is gonna gang up on you. They're gonna get as many people involved as they can, and they're going to relentlessly exploit you. That's what cowards do. So, you know, like a bully. You know, bullies, if they can't defeat you by themselves, they'll get as many people as they can. Sometimes they'll get 3, 5, 10 other people. Sometimes they'll get 20 other people involved, 100, 1,000, however many that they can get, and however determined they are to destroy you, they'll grab as many people. So if that's 1,000,000 people, like I said, if you pissed off a narcissist in high places, they will get as many people that will get involved as possible. The more the merrier for them. So if it means 1,000,000, they'll get 1,000,000. They get 1,000. If they have 1,000 people, they get 1,000. However many it takes to get to their end goal, that's what they'll do. And that's why it is so important, and why I encourage people to expose narcissism if you're not going to expose the person who's abusing you. Because I'm telling you, they will not stop. They will not stop. They will not stop. I'm telling you. They will do it like every single day. Every single day. They will stop at nothing. So that's why that type of behavior needs to be exposed, so that other people know. Because 9 times out of 10, there's other narcissists out there doing this to other people. I know I'm not the only one that's experienced it. And clearly narcissism has gotten so out of control to where it's becoming a pandemic. Like, I think that this whole COVID stuff is really just a narcissistic revolution. It's either spiritual warfare, which, I mean, there's always going to be spiritual warfare, but what I believe personally with COVID is a narcissistic revolution. This is what I see this as. So a lot of narcissists are going on strike. A lot of narcissists are going on strike, and they're fed up. They're fed up with not being able to control us and tell us what to do. They're fed up with this peaceful environment called Earth that we live on. You've ever noticed how peaceful it's become? Like, you go anywhere, it's so peaceful. even the hood nowadays, it's peaceful. Everywhere is peaceful now. People want peace. They want to be happy. I think people at the end of the day, whether they're toxic or not, they want to be happy. They want to accomplish their goals. They want to hustle and do what they got to do. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, because they want to do that, they're going to leave people alone. Like, if you have a mindset of, look, I'm just trying to hustle and get to where I need to be, you're not going to be worried about nobody else. And that's, if you think about it, that's most people's mentality. Even if they are selfish or even a little toxic, they'll have that mentality where, honestly, I'm just trying to stay in my own lane. Honestly, I'm just trying to get to where I want to be. And if you know, this situation compromises my goals, I'm just going to cut my losses. That's how most people think. So it's just peaceful. And when everybody has that mindset, it's peaceful. It's a very, very peaceful environment. Very, very peaceful. Even you know, the most minor arguments will seem so just pointless because everybody's focused on themselves and trying to get to where they want to be. And honestly, if narcissists had that mindset, they would no longer be narcissists. It would just be that easy. That's simple. If they would just redirect all that negative energy and that projection back to themselves. But they don't. They focus on you. So, yeah, that's why you gotta leave. And when you leave, that's why you gotta expose either them or their tactics. I can understand why some people don't expose the very person, because I feel like that's when it becomes dangerous. Like, you know, that person has nothing left to lose. Like, you've exposed them. So what's stopping them from hurting you or killing you? The whole reason why they didn't in the first place, because, you know, they were going to get caught. Now that they've been caught, what's going to stop them from going on the deep end? So be careful about exposing their name, their face, their, you know what I'm saying? Just, I would suggest just exposing narcissism. I think it's to a point where your life's in jeopardy and the police are not helping you, because the police are capable of leaving people behind you. This is why we're in this position that we're in now, because the police, their job is to protect and serve the community. And instead they protect and serve the abusers, the narcissists, and that's why we're in this very position that we're in now. Because the police have not been doing their job, period. So just understand that if you're in a position to where you're trying to get away from an abuser and you go to the police and they don't help you, don't be surprised. Do not be surprised. Do not be surprised if you're not able to find a support group. Or, and I'm not saying this to put you down, but it's just, don't be surprised, because the system that we're living in it's been built off of narcissism. The system we live in has been built off of narcissism. The people at the top have benefited from narcissistic strategies and tactics. So you're going to have to understand that the system, if you're going to the very system that put you in that difficult position to get you out, you're in a very tough position. And the police are, you know, the arm, the muscle that put you in that position. I believe it or not. The police are in on this too. So you might find a couple good cops out there that will help you and help you find a support group. Good luck for you. But the chances are the police are in on it. And if you go to them for help, they will either make it worse or make you feel lost and confused like you were before. Good luck. So if it gets to the point where no matter who you go to, you know, they won't help you and it's a life and death situation, expose that person. Yes, do it. But if you don't need to, if it's not a life or death and they're just harassing you, then just expose their tactics. And if you have to expose them, because say you take them to court, you get the law involved and the law doesn't protect you, then yes, expose that person. Please, expose them. Get them on videotape, record their voice, record their tactics. Yes, do it so that other people can know to stay away from that person. Yes. I usually don't support exposing people, because at first I saw it as petty, but now I understand why people do it, because it's a life. Like, these people will stalk you for the rest of your life. They will harass you, sabotage, like they will stop at nothing. So sometimes, yes, a narcissist will provoke you to expose them because of their behavior. But if they're not provoking you to expose them, don't. No, like, expose narcissistic abuse, but don't expose that person. Let people find out for themselves, because it's gonna be way more effective when people find out for themselves versus if you just expose it. It's gonna make you look bitter. Expose narcissistic abuse. Yes, expose the abuse that you face. Tell your story, but I wouldn't suggest you focus on exposing them individually, because narcissism is on a it's not an individual, and it's not personal. Narcissism is spiritual. It's a spiritual battle, so you have to expose the narcissism and the people who practice narcissism, not necessarily the person themselves. Even though, like I said, that person may provoke you into exposing them. Go ahead. If they set you up, then that's their karma. The fact that they couldn't leave you alone was their own demise. But if they eventually leave you alone, they never come back, they never hoover, they don't send flying monkeys, they leave you alone, just expose the abuse that they put you through. And people will figure out who you're talking about. You don't even need to mention their name most of the time. People will know who you're talking about, because the people you know, or the people that know who you are, and have dealt with a narcissist like you have, when they see you posting your videos and exposing them for who they really are, they are going to thank you. They're going to they're going to be like, thank you so much for exposing this person, because you saved my life. I almost died. I almost lost myself. I almost hurt this person. I almost did something that I was never going to be able to take back, but you helped me get through. People are going to be, calling you, showing up, and just hugging you, congratulating you, thanking you, praising you, really, because you saved their life. Like, if I hadn't gotten in, did my research, did my digging, and looked into narcissistic abuse, I probably would be somewhere dead. And that's just all facts. All facts. But, so that's why I'm doing what I can to keep people informed on what narcissistic abuse is, because it almost kills. And I don't want to see another good person suffering because, the justice system is corrupt. It's just not right. It's not right. Like, I've seen too many good people get screwed over because the majority of people either choose to enable abuse or they choose to be selfish, and I can't be one of those. I can't do it anymore. I try to keep my mouth shut because I thought moving all my life and moving in silence, was going to help me, and it did to a certain degree, but I still needed to tell my story. I still needed to tell my testimony because, like I said, I can complain about how the world is, but if I don't make any actions on changing it and being the change I want to see in the world, I'm part of the problem, and I can't be the part of the problem anymore. Not when there's pedophiles, rapists, murderers, greedy people who need to control everybody. Like, no, I can't be a pacifist and an enabler to that type of cruelty. I can't do it anymore. I can't compromise with evil, because evil cannot be compromised with. Evil does not compromise with anyone or anything, so why compromise with it? Why? It makes no sense. So I'm telling my story. Leave the narcissist. And even though they will employ their tactics, they were doing that when y'all were together. They were just doing it behind your back. They were mentally abusing you to your face and betraying you behind your back. Now that you're leaving, all the things that they were doing behind your back is going to become more visible to you. All the people who are involved are going to become more visible. And also, if you ever wonder, like, why it seemed like no matter what you did, things, always went wrong in your life, bad things always seem to happen, it's going to become more clear when you leave. When you leave, it's going to become more clear as to why it seemed like you were being sabotaged left and right. Like I said, nothing was going right in your life. It's because you had that narcissist around you, and they're flying monkeys, they're enablers, their family, their friends, their loved ones, however they're connected to the narcissist. When you start cutting the narcissist off and their connection to you, the truth is gonna find you. Oh, trust me, the truth will hunt you down. It's gonna hunt you down. You're gonna be like, dang, like, am I that much of a loser? No, you're not the loser. The narcissist is trying to make you look like a loser because they're the real loser. And that's real brutal, like, brutally honest, but they are losers. Why else would they be doing what they're doing to people? So just know that when you leave, you're at your most vulnerable, but you're also at your highest peak of change. There's going to be a heavy amount of change if you keep going. Like, doors will open up for you, opportunities will present themselves, people will begin to be kind to you, respect you, thank you. They'll start to gravitate towards you. They'll want to know more about you. You know, you're going to have healthy support coming your way. Like, it's just going to be so many things that you never would have thought you'd be able to have because you're with the narcissist. Like, when you're with them, everything seems hopeless. When you leave, everything seems possible, even being able to fly. Like, you know what I'm saying? You leave a narcissist, you might be able to, you might be feeling like you could fly, or you know, you might be feeling like you can create some robotic wings, and people will start learning how to fly now because you'll be that motivated and creative and stuff like that. So, you know, keep going. Leave the narcissist. I know it's gonna be tough. When you first leave, it's going to seem like, man, why did I feel so safe when I was with the narcissist? Now that I'm leaving, so many bad things are happening to me. Maybe I should go back. That's what the narcissist wants you to think. That's why they're putting you in that position, because they want you to think that they're your safe haven. No. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. You can't give that person the benefit of the doubt. Because giving somebody the benefit of the doubt means you trust them. You think narcissists can be trusted? If you think so, you're in bad shape. If you're relying on your enemy for survival, you're in bad shape. So, if you're relying on your enemy to tell you the truth, you're in a really sticky situation. You're blind as a bat. And it is fine. We've all been there. I can tell you this much. It's no benefit. Giving the benefit of the doubt. Because giving the benefit of the doubt is beneficial to doubt, I guess, or not doubt. But there's no benefit out of not doubting the narcissist. You should always doubt them. You should never trust them. And when they tell you, hey, I'm not your enemy, I'm really your friend, don't believe that for a second. Because someone that's your friend wouldn't need to tell you that. They wouldn't need to say, I'm not your enemy here. Unless, of course, you were, getting out of that abuse cycle and you're healing from your trauma. You know, you're healing from your trauma and you don't know who's who, what's what. You know, yeah, you are going to meet some people that are really trying to help you, and they're going to tell you, I'm not the problem. But they're not going to say, I'm not the enemy. Most of the time, they're not going to say, I'm not the enemy. They're going to say, look, hey, it's me, such and such, my name is such and such, or, whatever. If they don't know you, they're going to say, hey, my name is such and such, I see that you've been through a lot, will you allow me to help you? Most of the time. And if it's somebody that you know, and say you're going through you're going through a trigger crisis right now, and you're being triggered, they're going to shake you out of it and be like, hey, it's me, Jim, or, Kyle, they're like, hey, bro, it's me, Kyle. It's just a random name. But it's me, bro, it's me. Remember, it's me. They're trying to, snap you out of it. But they're not going to be like, I'm not the enemy, I'm your friend. Does that sound right to you? That sounds like a con artist to me. Somebody comes up to me and says, hey, I'm your friend, I'm not your enemy. I would look at that person sideways and question if they were really my enemy. That would encourage me to do even more background, some digging and some background research to see. I'm telling you, if somebody just flat out says, I'm not your enemy, you gotta question if they really are. Now, if they tell you, hey, I'm not the problem, I don't have an issue with you, I ain't got no beef with you, then the chances are that person may actually be genuine. If someone comes up to you and says, I'm not your enemy, the chances are they're probably your enemy. That's the very person you need to look out for. It's just certain things in which people say and do, it's either normal or it's not. And certain things that narcissists do, most things that they do is not normal. It may be perceived as normal if you've been abused. It's gonna seem normal, but it's not. It's not normal at all. So leave. And like I said, you're gonna get stalked probably I'm gonna be honest. Depending on depending on how empathetic you are, depending on how beautiful of a soul you are, you're probably going to be unfortunately stalked for the rest of your life. And that's why I say expose them, because it takes away their power, and it lifts the spell from the narcissists. When you expose the narcissist, because most of the narcissists, most of the flying monkeys are under a spell. I would say 2/3 of them are under a spell. You get the enablers, which they've been abused as well, and they don't know better, and all they know is, enable. And a lot of us who've been victims of abuse were an enabler. That's why we stayed with them. Or else, if we weren't enablers or if we weren't codependents, we would have never stayed with them. We wouldn't have even given them a chance. So we were, us empaths that have recovered and become survivors, we were codependent enablers. We were. And a codependent is an enabler. It is. They are. But the reality of it is, flying monkeys and, the harem, 2/3 of them are probably really good people. They don't know, and which is understandable. We've all been there where we didn't know who the narcissist was. And we were willing to take life and limbs to defend them because we thought they were loyal to us. We did not know that they were not loyal to us. We did not know that they were the enemy. We didn't know. So we can't get mad at somebody else for not knowing. They don't. Now you can tell. Now when your mind becomes more clear and you've been away from the narcissist for a while, you can tell generally, who cares about you, who doesn't. You can tell. It'll become very clear after a certain period of time. Like that. When they take the narcissist aside, it'll become clear after a certain period of time whether or not they really care about you. Sometimes you can tell. It's going to be hard to tell in the beginning, but after a certain point, it's going to become, if you're not able to tell who cares about you, you're going to know who doesn't care about you. You're going to know who doesn't care about you before you know who does. It is going to be a lot harder to tell who does care about you, because some people can fake it really well. But who I can tell you are going to be the first ones to crack or to fall or to slip up are the ones who care about you the least. Those are or the ones that can't really fake it that well, or the ones that just, they really can't stand you, and it's like overwhelming. Like the feeling of envy that they have towards you is overwhelming to where it's impossible for them to hide, or it's too hard for them to hide. Those are going to be the ones that slip up first, and then the ones who slip up next are going to be the ones who secretly don't like you, but they're not close to you. Like they're not close enough to hurt you, but they're close enough to have envy towards you. Those are going to be the ones who slip up next. Then the ones are going to be slip up third is the toxic, or who I see as the toxic supply. Those are going to be the ones who become more apparent after everyone who basically was out to get you and didn't like you secretly are going to be exposed first. Then the toxic enablers, such as the supply, the codependents, some of the flying monkeys who are doofuses, those are going to be the ones who get exposed next. And then the fourth category that gets exposed are the people who sit there and do nothing, who sit there and watch everything happen, but they don't get involved. Those are going to be the ones who get exposed towards the end, like when you're getting ready to leave, or when you're leaving, when you're getting ready to leave, or when you're about to leave. It'll become more clear the people who were sitting around and kind of watching, or the narcissist got them involved by venting to them, but they didn't choose to be a flying monkey or talk about you and get involved in the drama actively. They just kind of either listen to the narcissist, or they just chose to tell the narcissist, hey, I don't prefer to be involved in this, keep me out of it. But they saw what happened, and they see it. They see the effect that it has on you, and they didn't say anything to you. They didn't try to reach out, but they saw the effect that it had on you, and they didn't say anything. And then the last but not least, when you finally have gotten away from the narcissist, and you've been away from them for maybe several years, maybe up to 5 to 10 years, when you've been away from the narcissist, you're going to start to see the people who support you. Because a lot of times the very people who support you are going to be the ones that the narcissist tricks first. And then once the people who really support you see that the narcissist is full of crap, they're going to come back around. A lot of times they'll come back around. And they'll see that the narcissist is no good. And a lot of times these people will choose you over the narcissist. But that doesn't happen until you leave the narcissist. That's a reward. That doesn't happen. If you don't leave the narcissist, you will never know who these people are. I can tell you that much. Not to sound cynical, but if you don't leave this abuser, you're never going to know who supports you. Why? Because the abuser purposely isolates you from the people who support you. The abuser can see clearly, because you're not manipulating this person, not mind you. You're not clouding this person's judgment. You're not manipulating their perception. None of that. They're allowed to think freely. You know what I'm saying? They're allowed to think freely, observe, and see everything for what it is, all while your perception in reality is being diluted, tampered with. So you don't know who's who, really. Honestly, most of your life, it's your reality and your perception that has been diluted. But that's because you had fake people around you and you didn't have a choice. If you were born into a dysfunctional, abusive family, you don't have a choice. And Child Protective Services can't save everybody from a toxic family. That's not how they have to follow the law. They can't just kidnap kids, or else it would be child kidnapping. So they have to have a legitimate reason for taking you out of your dysfunctional family, such as proof. If they have no proof, unfortunately, Child Protective Services they can't help you. They can check in on you. They can come inspect your home, but they can't really rescue you, unfortunately, unless they have solid proof. And most abusers make sure that that information doesn't get out. It's sad and unfortunate, but this is why I'm exposing it, because no more children going through this. It's one thing it happening to adults, because I feel like adults have a fighting chance. They have a choice to leave and get up and leave always, but a child doesn't always have that choice. So that's who I'm really doing this for. The children that grow up in these toxic families and they're treated poorly, and they don't have any help or assistance. This is who I'm really doing this for, the kids. But I am also doing it for other victims. But my main focus is, these innocent children that's being taken advantage of because they're vulnerable. Like, that's messed up. And that, I have a deep desire for justice in that area. I can't believe that this society has abused children the way that they have and gotten away with it, and they even have political support. Like, that's a big no-no. That's a big no-no, and this is why I'm shutting that down now. Like, no, it's not. I'm not okay with children or adult victims being exploited. That's not okay, and I have that strong desire for justice. And the abuse and the evil will not thrive anymore while I'm still alive, not while I'm still breathing. While I'm still alive and breathing, evil will not thrive in my presence, period. And any survivor that's been through narcissistic abuse should have that mindset. If you don't have that mindset, I'm worried about you. You need to go get some help. If you do have that mindset, good, because seriously, it's bad. The narcissistic abuse is bad. And the reason why our families are so dysfunctional, since we're going to sit here and talk about this, the reason why our families are so dysfunctional is because of the system. Our families didn't just get that way because of nothing. I mean, we started out in Africa building pyramids, getting advanced scientifically and historically to the point where I don't want to make assumptions, but I believe that in the past, human beings used to be able to see into the future, and in the past, we can tap into that. We can tap into, alchemy and all of that. But the reason why we can't now, guess what? Crabs in a barrel, narcissists, not wanting certain people to have powers that they couldn't possess, so they got jealous. called certain people witches because they were using their powers for good and they were envious of that. So, yeah, I know I sound like a nut job, but I don't care. You know, narcissism needs to be exposed, bro. Narcissism needs to be exposed.